Hello friends, and welcome back to Trials of Imorah. Trials of Imorah is a 2D action platformer with a major focus on exploration. Once completed, the game will span 10 massive levels, filled with unique handcrafted level design. In my last video, I discussed the high-level progress made over the course of 2023, but the time has come to showcase everything following the Fire Sorceress Koro, the boss of the Fire level. The new level I've been working on is the dark, desolate cavern of Sinisa, filled to the brim with new undead enemies and all sorts of traps that can kill the monstrous horde just as easily as they can kill the player. The most common of these will be flesh golems. These abominations have very basic attacks, but they have variable running speeds. Some will be just as fast as the player. On their own, they aren't a major threat, but in greater numbers, the horde can become quite overwhelming. There are also blood flies that erupt from rotting corpses and fly after you, usually in great numbers. Twin crawlers that will launch blood projectiles as they chase you. And there are meatlings. But these floating masses don't really notice you. They're actually not really too threatening. However, all of these new enemies will apply the new status effect, Melded. The dark forces that reanimate these clumps of flesh will infest the player's body when making contact. Your living body will resist and purge the effect eventually, but it will drain all of your stats until then. This power is not theirs alone though. The new item, the Bloodmire Charm, lets you apply the same effect to enemies with blood magic projectiles. Of course, this will have no effect on undead or mechanical enemies. You'll have to make use of it on other levels, but be careful. If a humanoid enemy dies with this effect, there's a chance that they will... All of these new undead enemies, of course, also introduce the new Massive Horror drop item. These will be used to upgrade runes and craft other poisonous zombie-themed weapons. I've also added Bloodstorm, an enchanted throwing knife that automatically flies to more enemies after hitting the first, very effective at clearing hordes of enemies. And lastly, as a key mechanic moving forward in the game, I've added the Chaos Pendant. This artifact will activate Chaos Shrines that will be hidden across all 10 levels. When activated, a set of Chaos Souls will appear across the map. Once they are all collected, ideally through a series of platforming and combat challenges, a reward will appear back at the shrine. Aside from items, another simple but vital addition has been elevators. Previously, moving platforms would never stop to wait for anyone, but now these new platforms will wait until you jump aboard to move. In case someone falls off at the wrong time, they are also set up to return to their starting point, or they can be summoned by ringing the bell next to their stations. I've also finally added proper health bars to boss fights. I was finally convinced that they were a good idea, to ensure that the players can see their progress and not get too discouraged. Seeing health bars of regular enemies will still require the rune upgrade though, the calculation rune. Speaking of runes, 2 more of those upgrades have been added as well. First off, the critical rune. This allows the user's melee attacks to deal extra damage after a set amount of successful hits against enemies. This starts off as every 10th attack, but can be upgraded and improved from there. I decided this was a better design decision than only adding a critical hit functionality. While the game contains some level of randomness and luck by loot drops, I would like the main combat gameplay to be skill-based at its core. And having a guaranteed critical hit after meeting some criteria felt like the way to maintain that core. I also added the Overkill rune, which upgrades the bow. Shots fired will consume 2 arrows at once, but the damage will be greater. This may not seem too economic, especially when the damage isn't even doubled until it's upgraded further, but it does effectively increase the user's damage per second. Sometimes burning resources faster is worth it in life or death situations. That's about all of the super fancy interesting highlights. Aside from that, I've been adding new NPCs, building the level terrain, and playtesting of course. I think development is going well on the 7th level, so I hope that you all have enjoyed seeing the progress that I've made over the past few months. Moving forward, I'm probably going to only try posting updates when I have major features implemented to talk about. Trying to meet some quota of progress within a 2-week or even month's time has basically felt unsustainable for my work style. Hopefully that works for you all, getting updates that are a bit meatier, but not as frequent. Anyways, I will keep on working on things. Thank you all for your support as always, and as always, I'll talk to you later. I've also kind of mostly implemented a new mini-boss, so get ready for that!